Are you ready to get unstuck from your repetitive daily routine, tap into your mind and body's internal cues, and just discover the things in this world that will lead you to your life's greatest potential? Me too. I'm glad you're here today.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Greatest Potench podcast. My name is Taylor, and I am going to be the host of this silly little collection of thoughts that I'm going to be bringing to you. And before I get started, I just wanted to address the situation, right? So, like any podcast you find and you love it and it's huge and it's popular, and you get into it and you're like, I wonder what the first episode was like. And then you go to the first episode and it is the most messy, confusing jumble of thoughts that makes no sense and is literally just introducing the podcast for 25 minutes. And every single podcast is like that. I've not met a podcaster. Well, actually, I've never met a podcaster. I've not ever seen a podcast that doesn't have just a shit show of a first episode. But that's okay, because guess what? I'm going to be the same exact way. This is going to be no different. So if you're not into that, feel free to skip. But considering this is the first podcast episode, I wanted to kind of introduce the reason for this show and what exactly I'm going to be talking through on it. So basically, toward the end of college, I kind of got this calling or inkling within myself that I wanted to utilize my full potential as a person. I had a really terrible internship. I'm not going to lie. The people were amazing. The company was amazing, but I had a horrible time. And this job made me feel like I was just a body filling a space. It felt like I had no purpose. It felt like all my talents and all of my knowledge and everything that made me who I am, I felt like it was being wasted. And during that time, I actually ended up starting my own small business for the first time. I no longer run it. It was a cake pop company, actually. And it was a great success. And it gave me a lot of fulfillment. It was the kind of passion where you can stay up till 5 a.m. on an hour of sleep and not feel tired because you're that excited about what you're doing. And through that business, through just those couple years of my life, I realized that we're not meant to be miserable. That is not where the human brain and the human body is meant to live constantly. Obviously, there are traumatic things that happen in life and there are upsetting things and we're allowed to feel emotions and we're allowed to experience all of that. But at the end of the day, humans are meant to live a happy, fulfilling, and full life. And I didn't feel like I was getting that for a really long time. So that's kind of where my curiosity began of how can I get to my fullest potential or my greatest potential, or like the name of the podcast, how can I reach my greatest potential, right? So then we move forward to where I'm working full time, and my job is pretty unique. It is kind of self-led. It's very much flexible. You work your 40 hours a week, but it's really on your time, on your terms, when you want to put in those 40 hours and where. So it's pretty cool. And my job gives me a lot of room to explore and a lot of space to be original and creative in the way that I do my job, which is very nice. I need that creativity. I need that fulfillment, and I need a job that is not the same routine every single day, because I would just simply be so bored and not feel fulfilled at all. But as a side note, when I started my full-time job and switched kind of from college into adulthood, I realized that there's a lot of time that we just have on our hands, right? We wake up, do whatever we want to do in the morning until it's time to go to work. We do work, and then after work, your time is yours again. There's no studying for exams. I mean, unless, you're going to grad school or you're continuing your education for whatever reason. There's no studying. There's no frat parties. There's no, weekly special deals at the bars or anything that you have to commit to because you feel like you can't go a day without drinking and things like that. All the silly things that take up your time in college and take up your mind space in college, those things aren't there anymore. Your main priority is pretty much just work and then whatever else you want to do. So initially when I started, I guess you would say like adult life, my time management was so out of whack. I tried at first to kind of resort to what I would do during college. So I would start my day by going to the gym, come back, freshen up a little bit, go to work. And then after work, I would do leisure time. I would spend hours and hours on TikTok. That hasn't really changed. I still sometimes do spend hours and hours on TikTok. And then, I would just kind of lay around and do whatever I felt like doing. I never had a lot of structure to the day. I never had a lot of, purpose for the day necessarily. I definitely felt like I was happy and I was exploring all these new things in a new city, but I didn't feel like I ended every day with like a purpose, or I didn't necessarily feel like successful at the end of every day. I just felt content. And so within my first year being in my full-time job and being like an adult, I guess you would say, I started to kind of look into what made me full and what made me happy and the kind of stuff I could do and spend hours and hours doing without feeling tired. And that became dance for me. So I started taking drop-in classes at a studio where it's kind of like dance fitness, dance cardio. It's like all levels. You just dance to a song that they pick out for the day, and you learn a little bit of choreography to it and just dance around. And through that establishment, I started feeling a lot of just myself again. I started kind of feeling that purpose. I started feeling, energized and alive, and I wanted to always watch the videos I took during class, and I wanted to dance outside of class and just watch more and dive more into that world. And then actually at the same studio, I ended up meeting a instructor who taught the first class I ever took, and she had experience at like a competitive studio. So I was like, I've done competition dance for a few years, right? Like maybe I should jump into this. So I did. Out on a whim, I decided to randomly audition for this competitive company that I literally had heard of for a few months, and that a girl on my college team had also been on previously, or was currently on, sorry. And lo and behold, I don't know how, but they took a chance on me and I made the team. And then, instead of work being my only commitment in my adult life, just waking up, doing what I needed to do, going to work, finishing the day, and then coming home and once again just sitting around kind of rotting, I guess you would say, I finally had that thing that gave me like purpose and excitement and passion again. So dance has now consumed quite a lot of my schedule, but it's by choice, of course. I love doing it. I love the team I'm on. I love that competitive environment, and like I feel so much personal and physical and just like overall life growth being in a space where I'm actually passionate about what I'm doing. I really enjoy it. It doesn't feel like work to me. It doesn't feel like a task. So as of September of last year, that's when I joined the team, and I'm still on it now. This is my second season, and I'm just now reaching a point again, one of these kind of transition points where I'm like, okay, great. Like I have my balance. I have my work. It is the way that I get my income. It's how I'm able to pay my bills and live the lifestyle I want to live. I have my passion, which I'm able to dedicate a few hours a week to outside of work. It's something I can look forward to. It's something that, I can be creative and I can be goofy and be fully myself. And now I have this balance, but it's also, now that I'm here, I know that because I took that step, there's so many more things in my life, so many more aspects of my life, that if I just take that step to explore it and dive into, what that means for me or what that could look like in my life, I feel like I could have a very, very cool life, Like, basically the purpose of this podcast is going to be my exploration through finding my greatest potential in life. I'm going to be exploring some things like an exercise schedule. I'm going to explore time budgeting. I'm going to get into, meditation and intentional mindfulness, creating a daily routine, trying to use a planner, creating a balance between personal life and work life and friend life and all of the things, trying to explore into spirituality a little bit more, diving into, what we see from the different religions that pulls into a human's overall well-being and things like that, like productivity, having your most efficient day, just diving into a lot of different topics that holistically together, I feel like for myself would make my life lived at its greatest potential. or Greatest Potench, if you will. So that is basically the premise of the podcast. I'm not an expert on any of these things. Really, I just wanted to kind of document my journey into exploring them, trying them out for myself. In the past, just a little background on me, I guess I could give that to give some color to why I even wanted to do this. Throughout my entire life, starting from probably the age of like 10, probably, maybe even younger, I have been an anxious girly. I have anxiety, like diagnosed anxiety. I've had occasional panic attacks throughout life. That started getting pretty bad in college, when I had that, that one internship I spoke about earlier. And, anxiety's kind of fueled a lot of my responses and a lot of the way that I've lived my life up until literally a couple years ago. So it was always in the back of my mind. It wasn't crippling by any means. I could still live a happy, fulfilling, fun life. I had a lot of friends. I was involved in a lot of activities and sports. I had what a high schooler or a middle schooler would call a love life, but it was really just silly dating here and there. Like, I had a full life, for sure. I definitely did. I had a very loving family, great friends, and all of the things. But anxiety was always just kind of hanging around in the back of my mind. And I think it's because I am a serial overcommitter, and I'm also a perfectionist just by nature. So I really hate saying no to things because I enjoy so much of what I do. I'm offered a lot of opportunities, and I just love to take them all because I don't ever want to miss out on something. I'm the CEO of FOMO, right? So I really don't want to miss an opportunity when it's handed to me, so I can tend to overcommit quite a bit. And in that same sense, I also have very high expectations of myself. So because I was so involved as a kid, because, I was kind of at the top of my class in terms of grades and school and performance and things like that, I just got used to always being at the mark and always being at an achieving place. So in the event that I didn't do something perfectly, it hurt me a lot more than it would hurt probably the typical person, because I expected myself always to be perfect and always to be doing everything and doing everything really, really well. So I was kind of hard on myself. It was kind of like a big combination between the anxiety, the perfectionism, the overcommitting, and I genuinely did not have a lot of time in my life to think about me, think about what I wanted, think about, was this making me happy, or am I just doing it to do it? So when I got to college, I had more chance to kind of focus on what I wanted to be focusing on, spend my time doing what I wanted to do. And it gave me a little bit more headspace for sure to kind of realize, oh my God, like I'm freaking out a lot about things that don't need to be freaked out about, or I'm trying to be perfect at something that literally doesn't matter that much. Like, college was really the first kind of chance that I had to be okay with not being perfect and be okay with not being good at everything I tried. I was exposed to a lot more diversity, a lot more walks of life, and all these people around me, they were chilling. They didn't care that they weren't the best. They didn't care that they were even the worst sometimes. And that kind of mindset got me feeling better about my perfectionism for sure, but my anxiety definitely did not go away. If anything, it got a little bit worse toward the end of college because I was not feeling fulfilled. I was feeling like I had all this potential, and I didn't care that I wasn't perfect anymore, but I knew that I had the potential and that I had the skills and I had the knowledge to do so many great things, and I was sitting at a desk 40 hours a week doing practically nothing and making no visible difference to anyone. So because of that, and because of that mindset and the energy that I was surrounded by constantly, I feel like that led to more anxiety, more internal just chaos inside of my brain that had no way to exit the brain other than through my body. So it would lead to panic attacks, and it would lead to just like outbursts and things like that, and things that I did not want to be doing. And I completely understood why it was happening, but it's just something, when you're in that space, you can't control it, and it's just something that it happens, right? So then I finally get to the full-time role that I'm in now, like I said in the beginning of the story, and it gave me that space to, I was away from the support system I know my whole life. I was starting fresh in a new city, and I had a lot of vacant space in my mind now, finally. And I will say, like, very happy to share that my anxiety is at probably a historic low for my entire life, which is amazing, despite all the challenges and the uncertainty that can come with being in the adult world. I do feel like I have a really good head on my shoulders, and I feel like I'm a lot more accepting of the unknown now. I'm more comfortable in not knowing everything and not having everything figured out because I'm around a bunch of other young adults that are in the same place as me, and the best thing I can do now is try to explore how I can make my life better. So yeah, this podcast is a little bit of a personal journey for sure. And like I mentioned in the beginning of the episode, right? This first episode is going to be chaotic and it's going to be bouncing around everywhere. I'm literally sitting in my car on my lunch break right now recording this. So as you can imagine, I didn't exactly prepare any content for this. I'm just speaking straight from the heart and the mind right now. But I'm really excited. And, you know, whether I have one viewer being myself or whether this goes a little bit more larger scope, I think either option will be great because this really is just a chance for me to explore how I can be the best version of myself as a human, as a friend, as just a part of this universe. And I wanted to document it and share it with everybody in case, you know, you were a very entry-level beginner in this realm, right? Like I don't know anything about meditation. I love to fidget. If I try to meditate, it's literally for like a max of 60 seconds and I'm like thinking about everything else and I'm not controlling my breathing. I'm fidgeting my fingers and I just can't sit still, right? Like I by no means know anything about meditating, but it's something I want to explore and just getting in touch with like your higher self and, you know, the higher beings of the universe. I think it's so cool. Something I want to explore for sure. And yeah, I just want to bring you along with me. We all have a starting point. There's a lot of people that started living their best potential and their most successful and productive lives when they were 16, and that's so cool. And I want to look at those people. I want to follow those influencers. I want to look at these people who are living their best life, and they're an inspiration to me, but I'm not where they are. So I wanted to put this content out there in case there was anyone else out here in the world starting from complete scratch like me. You know you want to make a change in your life. You know you have potential that you're not currently fulfilling. You know you have, I guess you could say demons. You have things in your past that are definitely, that can hold you back and that can be a reason not to be at your full potential, but you want to understand and learn how to push past them, how to use negative experiences and use questionable experiences to make your life even better. And I'm here to do all of that. I'm here to be an open book about the entire journey. And yeah, that's kind of the purpose of all of this. So I said it 2 times. I'm going to say it one more. This episode is by no means organized. It is definitely just a stream of consciousness right now, but I'm excited to see where this goes, and I'm looking forward to sharing and growing in our greatest potential with everyone. All right, I will see you next time, whatever that may be. Hello again. So I know the episode just ended, but I'm back here again to give a little bit of an update on the podcast in general. So the first portion of the podcast that you just finished listening to was actually filmed back in June of this year. It's currently December. So it has been 6 months. I happened to revisit my voice memos app where the first portion has been living for the past half year, and I realized that I really am truly ready to bring this content out into the world and release it. So coming back just for a little tag on, life has been lifing, things have been changing, exciting things have been happening in the world, and yeah, so I do have a lot of content ready and prepared, and it just needs to be created and posted for you all to listen to. So yeah, a lot of development since the last recording, but I'm excited to be here. I'm excited that you're here listening, and you can expect a lot of new and exciting things coming very soon. So hopefully I'll be getting this podcast out before the end of the year. You never know. Could be another 6 months again, but I'll try my best not to make that happen. And you'll probably expect another quick little intro to the podcast as well. It'll be like a 2-ish minute brief overview of what the Greatest Potench podcast will consist of, what the kind of content will be, and what we're going to be talking about in general. So I know this episode was a little shambles, a little crazy, and here we are 6 months later still filming the same episode, but I promise I have a lot of great things lined up for us, and I'm super excited to get this podcast officially launched. So by the time you're listening to this, I have decided to full send, and it's on public streaming, and it's there at your disposal. So look forward to coming back to you soon, bringing you more fun and juicy things. And yeah, thanks for hanging out. I will see you in the next one. Bye.